Let's start by setting expectations. You're probably not going to clear this in matchmaking, but it is a great place to learn this fight before moving to Party Finder. I spent several days trying, and a lot of runs looked super promising right up until the Enrage phase, and then everyone died instantly. This is likely the hardest encounter in current content, and it comes with something of a learning curve. I ultimately duoed this fight with a Berserker. We're both 3x3 on engravings, and I feel like that's a solid milestone to aim for with this fight. I would definitely recommend having one person bring pheromone bombs. If Velganos is in a good spot in your spawn, keeping them there can save you a lot of time. For the mechanics, you're going to be balancing light buffs and dark debuffs. Getting hit by a dark attack will give you a stack of the dark debuff, increasing the damage you take from the boss, and removing a stack of the light buff. Each buff stacks up to 5 times, with the first 3 stacks of light increasing your damage, any extra reducing the damage you take. For the first 70% of the encounter, the only way to get light buff stacks is by walking through light zones on the ground. As a support, I entirely avoid collecting light buffs until DPS classes are at 5 stacks. In matchmaking, it's reasonable to pick one up here and there, but letting the DPS get that damage reduction will keep them in the fight longer, increasing their damage even more. DPS players should prioritize keeping their light stacks up over doing damage for a majority of the fight. During the first 70%, you'll see some fast and simple attacks that still do a lot of damage, like the breath, and we'll call this firecrackers, and a 3-stage explosion. But the first major mechanic is going to be a stagger check that you can either run away from or commit to. Velganos will raise their head and slowly walk in a circle. Bards can take the one-shot for the entire team, allowing you to continue doing damage regardless of whether or not you succeed the stagger check. I posted a separate video on how to do that, link in the description. The second major mechanic is the bite. Velganos will glow with electric energy and then disperse it. This is your indication to get to the front of the boss while a yellow circle appears above everyone's head. Not long after, and very quickly, someone's circle will turn black. That person needs to step into the circle in front of the boss. If you're in the circle and yours isn't black when Velganos bites, you'll get one shot. If the person with the black circle doesn't step in, it's a wipe. At 30%, the boss will Enrage. The good news is, the stagger check and bite mechanics won't happen anymore. The bad news is, neither will light zones. The only way to get light stacks during this phase of the fight is the pizza mechanic. If you don't need light stacks, or if you're super out of position when it starts, it's quite easy to avoid and the animation is hard to miss. But ideally, you want to do this correctly. The first zone will always be directly behind the boss, and it will go clockwise or counterclockwise as indicated by the direction of the gust of wind before it starts. It's fairly common for Velganos to fake it. The pizza animation will happen, but there's no follow-up. But it's also the last hurdle in this fight. If you can do pizza, you can clear this. Don't forget to like and or subscribe if this helped you out. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.